So let's talk about the difference between playing Augusta, which I have, versus attending the Masters, which I did just this last Monday. My name's Chris Petefish. I'm a pro golfer and performance coach. You can check out my stuff at courseofactiongolf.com. So, playing the golf course, which I got to do a couple times in college. I played golf at Georgia Tech, and they would let the team come out once a year, usually February, end of January, once a year to experience it, play it. Bobby Jones connections. So pretty lucky to do that. 2 minutes on that experience, very different than attending, but both are obviously awesome. I'm trying to remember, this was my freshman year in college, 2014. It was 12 years ago. And I remember I went with some of my teammates, very, very quiet. We played around 11 or 12 o'clock, and we had to wait across the street in the parking lot across from Magnolia Lane. And it was like literally Fort Knox to let you in. You had to show all kinds of ID and get verified. And then they lower the gate things, the barriers to let you in. And then we're just strolling down Magnolia Lane, which was pretty surreal. And I remember we didn't get to warm up, but we got to go inside, which was honestly cooler. We got to go inside. We had lunch with the member that we were playing with. We got to go up to the crow's nest and check out where the amateurs get to sleep. And it's like nothing has changed in 50, 60, 80 years in there. Very cool. I think we may have gotten to hit a couple putts, and then we just went straight to the first tee. And I just remember how quiet it was. It felt like playing golf in a museum. We were probably There were probably 12 people on the golf course the entire day. Um, it was almost bizarre. And I just remember how quiet and peaceful it was. The course itself played a little different than the Masters. Obviously, it's not as fast, but it played way longer than the Masters would because there was zero roll in the fairway. They're trying to grow the grass to make it healthy for the Masters and a few months later. And I just remember I had so many 5 irons and like hybrids in the par fours, just because it played ridiculously long. I think I shot even, which I was super happy with. And it was just obviously an incredible experience playing with teammates at Augusta National. And then we basically finished up, said our thank yous, and just got in, got out, and back to Atlanta. But obviously, playing the course is cooler than getting to be there as a patron. But I'm gonna go back Saturday, and maybe going Saturday is gonna be even more electric than playing it. So my experience of being a patron on Monday's practice round this year was pretty awesome as well. I have PGA of America membership, which got me this free ticket to go anytime this week. And so I went Monday. Here's what a day as a patron looks like. And I live just north of Atlanta, about 45 minutes, which means I knew I had to get there pretty early because if you're going to get there at 9 or 10 o'clock, there's no point. Like, you're not, it's going to be a zoo of people. Merchandise is going to be gone. You have to get there early. So I woke up at like 4:15 in the morning. I was out of the house by around 4:30, 4:45, and grabbed my coffee and just hit the road. 2 hours and 45 minutes later, I would say the parking wasn't as bad as I thought. They actually do a pretty good job of moving people in and out. Granted, there's probably 20,000 cars that are showing up. And you park in this giant grassy area. You better remember where you're parked or you will lose your car. And then it takes another hour just to get into where you get your tickets because you have the North Gate and the South Gate. I had to go through the South Gate, and again, I'm getting there at 7:30 in the morning. It took me probably 40 minutes plus just to the point where I get my ticket because they bring you in waves, and it was pretty cold. I'm not gonna lie, I was shivering, but pretty excited, obviously, to see it. So I get the ticket. You walk in there, everything is pristine. It's like going to the nicest botanical garden you've ever seen. And there's all these walkways and places that I never even knew existed when I played the course. And everything is maintained perfectly, as you would imagine. The gift shop, I tried to do that at 8 o'clock in the morning. No chance. They closed down the line. Uh, the people, they call them the gnome runners, they get there at 6 o'clock in the morning so they can get in line, wait their hour just to get into the shop to get their gnome, the garter gnome, to then go back to their car, put it in their car, and then go wait another hour with the rest of the people like me who are just getting there at 7:30, 7:45 to go back in again. Craziness, but good for them. Anyways, I forget that. I'm not going to do the merchandise tent. I have to go to the bathroom, which like the bathroom, they have attendants in the bathroom. It's like air traffic control in there. They are telling you where to go and just making sure that you're in and out as fast as possible. Everything is designed so you have a perfect magical experience. It's truly like Disneyland for an adult. And so I forget the merchandise tent, and my goal at that point is go straight to Amen Corner. I want to grab a chair and place it near the tee box. So I go ahead and go to hole 12. I take a few pictures of 13 on the way over there. It's not too busy at this point. There's probably several thousand, obviously, people. And there's going to be 50,000 people during the course of the day, but there may have been 15-ish or 20 by 8 o'clock in the morning. So it didn't feel crazy overrun, but I was lucky enough to get a chair. I placed it in the second row on 12, right behind the tee box, probably 10 feet away from the players where they tee off. Super cool because the chair rule, once you put your chair down, nobody can take your chair. Someone may be able to sit in it when you leave, but you can always tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, that's my chair. I put my name in it." And just what incredible freedom that there is in knowing that your chair is safe and your spot is secured whenever you want to go back to it. But also, if you're going around the golf course and there's plenty of places where they have all these chairs, if there's a free chair, just go up and take it. Have a great viewing experience. And if someone taps you on the shoulder, go make a friend. Like they're not going to be angry at you. Everyone's just excited and happy to be there. The lines for the concession they go by so quickly, and there's so many of them. There's probably like 5 or 6 different stations of concessions, and it's a one-way system. You just grab and go. There's a lot of people at checkout, and you can get in and out in probably 60 to 120 seconds. And obviously, the food is incredibly cheap, so you just start grabbing things left and right. If you even think you want it, you take it and you eat it, because why not? And then I stay on 12 for a little bit. I watch Shane Lowry and Ryan Fox come through, and my impressions of 12 are it's definitely harder than I remembered it. I remember I hit a really good shot to like 15 feet, but granted, the greens are soft, a completely different animal than when you play it during the Masters. And it was dead calm when I played. And on Monday, I just thought like, what an incredible like amphitheater, A, but B, like the wind switched 3 or 4 times within an hour of me being there throughout the day. So that was just really, really interesting. Because that's just how as a player, that's where my golf brain goes is like, how is this whole playing? What's the wind doing? It's everywhere. It's truly everywhere. Just walking around the course, like I had a visual in my mind. I was keeping track of the wind. And so the wind was like, I think it was hurting on 15, which means on 12, that should be coming off the right and a little bit down. And like an hour later when I'm on 12, it's into off the left. And it's just like I understand how hard this hole is because A, the landing zone is smaller than you think. There's not a lot of room up there, and it's firm. Like the bounces, even in the morning, were probably 3 to 4 yards, and then they would check. There's not a lot of room there. Just an incredibly difficult hole. I definitely have a new respect for how hard that hole is when it's at the Masters versus if you're just playing at another time of the year. Not that hard to hit a 9 iron or pitching wedge onto the green. But when it gets firm and there's wind, that green just gets about 50 to 60% smaller instantly. So obviously we're talking about the concessions. I grab the food, and the other rule I love about the Masters is there's no phones. And so I get my food, my breakfast sandwich and coffee because I need another coffee at this point. And I just go up to a random table and say, "Hey, can I sit here?" And then I just end up having like a 20-minute conversation with these people and just talking about their story, their first time at the Masters, how they got here. And it was just really cool. Like just something that I never probably would have done. if it was a normal tournament and everyone had cell phones, like your first instinct is probably not to just go up to random strangers and ask them about their life story and their experience at a golf tournament. So, pretty cool to be able to do that. Definitely makes me think I need to be on my phone less after doing that. But it was just cool to be able to like your goal was to talk and mingle with people and just really get to enjoy the experience. So that was pretty cool. And then they also have the cell phones, not the cell phones, but they have the the mobile phones that you can use at the golf course and very old school. Press the dials and you can call anybody there. That's the only way to call loved ones or friends. And I had to make sure to call my wife, make sure she wasn't in labor since she's 36 weeks this week. So that would have been obviously a problem. She said, "Yeah, I am in labor," because I'd be basically breaking the no walking rule as I'd be running to the parking lot to drive home. But thankfully, that wasn't the case. And I just wanted to make sure I made my way throughout the golf course at that point to see every hole. And I think my main takeaway was how small the greens really are. They are smaller than they even uh, are perceived on television. And they were smaller than what I remembered even playing, which is probably the reason why I remember I had to chip a lot and I missed a lot of greens because they're so small. And just, I guess, a lot of respect for how good these guys are because they make it look pretty easy sometimes, and those greens are not easy. They are small. When they get firm, they're going to be even smaller. So I made sure to check out the rest of the course, especially 18. 18 green was smaller than I thought. I had never seen the practice area. I wanted to make sure that I saw that. That was pretty neat. The North Merch Shop was insane. Just so many people at this point. This is probably around 11, 12 o'clock. At that point, I'm making my way through the front nine. I'm getting more food, pimento cheese sandwiches and Sprites at this point. Hole two, I walk by Keegan Bradley. He's hitting a second shot on two. He hits one of the worst just push block fans I've ever seen. Um, and ends up hitting like a 15-year-old right in the back, and his ball ricochets like 30 yards. So definitely it hit something hard in his back. Poor kid was like writhing in pain. So hopefully Keegan got him a glove, but that was tough. And then I kind of moseyed my way around the front. I wanted to make sure that I had a good plan for when I come back on Saturday because I'd really want to be there on hole 16 and have a view 15. I think that's just basically the climax of the golf course, especially on a Saturday when we're starting to really get a good picture of who may win this golf tournament. And I ended up going back to 12 for a while, eating more food, eventually spending time in the merch line, which took an hour, but you just got to pay your dues. And got hats, I got sweaters, I got different clothes for people, which was good. And eventually made my way back to the car by like 3:30. And it's so easy to lose track of time there as well because you don't have a cell phone. They don't have clocks around. Some people have their Apple Watches. I don't have one. So I truly was, and I can usually track time pretty well by looking at the sun. I've spent enough time on a golf course to know what the time is based on where the sun is, but it was cloudy. So I had no idea what time it was. And you're just having a good time. So you definitely lose track of time there. And yeah, I basically got there at 7:30, left at 3:30, 4 o'clock, got home at 7. That's just a good 15-hour day. I was exhausted. But one funny story leaving the property was I was down the main drag and there's a bar on the way out. And like we're pretty much crawling. There's a lot of people that are trying to leave. And there's a bar on the right. I forget. It's some kind of tavern. And I see a picture, like a poster board, basically of John Daly. It says, "Hey, this place is sponsored or inspired by John Daly or something." And I look inside, it's literally John Daly, and he's shotgunning a beer with a crowd of people, a small crowd of people, like cheering him on. And I got a pretty good laugh over that. You can't make this up. You have like the esteemed Augusta National and their green jackets, and everyone's proper. And then 1 mile off the golf course, it's literally John Daly just shotgunning Coors Lights. So that was pretty funny, but obviously incredible experience. It's cool to play it than it is to watch the practice round. I was mostly there to see the golf course. Like as someone that's played golf against, I've played with Scotty before. I've played with John Rahm at college. I've played with a lot of these guys in tournaments, Morikawa. So it's like I don't have the same awe over those guys as someone else would. Like the only person I would really like have complete awe over is Tiger Woods. And obviously he's not there this week. Um, and I played in the US Open, so I was kind of in the mix with those guys. So for me, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy, I'm seeing this guy. Like I just truly wanted to see the golf course, appreciate how beautiful it is and how cool the tradition of the tournament is, which I definitely got a good dose of. So I'm really excited to see Saturday because you also have the kind of the mystery since the only way to tell what people are doing is A, by cheers or B, by the manual leaderboards and I'm sure it's going to be buzzing, cool atmosphere. So incredible experience to go. Those are the difference between so that's the difference between playing Augusta versus going there. Like 10 people on the golf course versus 50,000. Very different experience, but it was really cool to see the inner workings of how everything operates, how smooth it is, and just like what a well-oiled machine Augusta National is, period. So those are my thoughts. Hope you learned something cool about Augusta and the viewing experience. Definitely recommend putting yourself in the lottery every year because it is absolutely worth going. You have a greater appreciation for the tournament and the golf course when you see it in person.